We had other individuals who did 2 terms as well.
Okay.
But yes, so the National Black MBA Association is a professional organization for minority professionals, and basically our goal is really just to empower the next level of professionals for minorities through education, mentorship, lifestyle training, entrepreneurship, career development. And so the Detroit chapter is one of the historical chapters of the organization, and was founded in 1976. So I always tell people it's such a powerful organization because it gives you an opportunity to not only network with people that's like-minded like you, but also just to really meet people.
I'm surprised y'all let me even in. Y'all let me up in there.
No, look, you're an entrepreneur, and so you get a chance to meet people who are really successful corporate-wise and also really successful entrepreneur-wise. So the premise before was like we really wanted to push people in business education, so you had to have an MBA. But over the years, we've transitioned in that we want people to really just be focused on the economic side of growth and development. So
Okay.
yes, it was a very interesting, challenging time because in addition to my full-time outside sales job, traveling and all the other responsibilities, I also had responsibilities of leading an executive board that was very colorful.
So how did you become president? That's what I was.
Well, I just ran for an election and I was elected twice. So
Okay.
literally, I've been a member of the association since 2002. And
Okay.
I started in the Indianapolis, Indiana chapter, and I also received a scholarship as a graduate student when I finished my MBA. And I ended up, when I relocated to the Michigan area, I said I felt because the way I was working in a predominantly Caucasian environment. I really wanted to network with people like me, so I said I got to get involved with the Black MBA in Detroit.
Okay.
So.
And Detroit was the host city.
Oh yes,
for
we
National
we
Convention.
hosted.
That was a great event.
8,000 professionals, September 2018 in the city of Detroit. And it was a very informative, exciting conference. And what made it so historical is that the first chapter and location to ever host an annual conference for the association was Detroit.
And it was a huge job fair. I mean,
the
it was
job
like
fair
major,
was massive.
Major, I mean, like Microsoft.
Massive. Everybody was there.
General Electric, Ford.
Everybody. It's one of the largest
everybody was
diversity
there.
conferences.
What
annually.
Facebook there's?
Yes,
Yeah,
Facebook was there
was
as
there.
well.
Yeah.
I always encourage everyone that you have to attend the annual conference of the Black MBA because not only just looking for jobs, but you have a chance to just really get educated professionally with all of the workshops and seminars. But the job fair is very impressive because these are recruiters that are strictly coming for minority talent, right? So where you may attend another job fair and it's open to everyone, this conference is unique because these recruiters have been trained in diversity and inclusion, and they're looking to have a conversation with a minority professional and looking
And it
to
was
hire.
How much is it? It was like $500 for that.
It was, but if you get the early registration fee is even cheaper than that, if not like $200 or $175.
Plus, if you volunteer as well.
And if you volunteering at the conference, it gives you certain discounts based off of the number of hours you volunteer. But I always say it's one of the best conferences you can ever attend. I talked about earlier about investing in your education. And really, it doesn't have to be the university all the time. Invest in seminars, invest in workshops, go to some self-help situations. But I always tell people, if you go to a Black MBA conference one time, you will always go. It's like a family reunion.
And it's what, Houston next year?
Houston is this year, yep, in
Okay,
Houston,
this year,
in September
okay.
in Houston.
Okay, cool. So who has preceded you? Who's the?
Okay, so
I got to get to the meetings.
you have to get to the meetings, and our next meeting is next Thursday. So you
Okay.
should have received that notification, sir. But
Right.
anyway, we have a phenomenal, dynamic, energetic president. His name is Brian Howard, and he works for Winning Futures as a program facilitator. And he is phenomenal. He basically shadowed me the last year because he was our corporate relations director. So I have like extreme confidence, and he has a phenomenal board, and I am just enjoying my immediate past president role on the board. So I'm now just serving as an advisor. They pull me in when they need me, but it's pretty much, I'm not the total face of the organization anymore.
Okay, so moving forward, what are some of the things you got going on? And, you still got your book. Are you going to do another book?
2019, I'm releasing another book, When Success Calls, Acheive Against All Odds. So that's going to be a great step-by-step book on how to be successful. And I always say it's the greatest challenge you will ever face in your life when you decide to be successful. Because when you are faced with so many obstacles, you think, I'm just going to give up because this is too hard for me. And then you start listening to other people that are successful.
Are you self-publishing?
I'm self-publishing, and I'm a champion of self-publishing, and the reason why is because you have more creative control and you have more control over your royalties. If you go with a publishing house, you really it's a profit based off.
I don't know why Michelle Obama did self-publish. She would have made mad paper.
Well, I don't think if she had the time. No, because really it's the investment. As you know, it's the investment in. You can set it up virtually or you can set it up, hard copies. It really depends. And I think that maybe she just didn't have the time and a publishing house probably gave her a great deal where they wanted to release it for her. But no.
It's not like she got robbed.
Right. She didn't get robbed. And then she went on a massive tour as well. So, she really capitalized off that entire experience, her book experience. But I recommend self-publishing, and literally you can do everything, your copywriting, you can do all of that, very low cost, but just keep in mind, you can get certain deals, because I've talked to certain publishing houses, and they will publish your book, but you'll still be responsible for the marketing, you'll still be responsible for certain things. They can they will distribution it for you, but you can get those same deals now on your own as a self-published,
And I learned from my first book, do the research on who publishing your book for you, and it's not that they're a great publishing company as far as the process, but as far as their ideals, because they were the ones that was doing my book. They were editors. They worked for the Huffington Post, so, which is kind of like a feminist alternative swing, and I'm like the complete opposite. I'm kind of raw, uncut, just come out the gate swinging, and we had different messages, so they had a hard time accepting some of the ideals I had in my book. So
really, and see, as a publisher, they should not even be invested in that because it's your property. And see, that's another thing you have to be concerned about when you really, and that's about business 101. Own as much as you can of everything of you, right? If you give people that freedom, again, they'll start changing things that's not even representative of you. And your niche is what draws people to you. You know what I'm saying? So they wouldn't, some of them would have said, don't put that in the book. Don't put this certain things in. And for me, you're right. You have to research people, but as a publisher and as an editor, they shouldn't be changing. They shouldn't even be that emotionally invested. Well, it's not that
they were invested because it's like their name was associated to the book. So you see my book, you see who's publishing it, and that was there. And I wasn't saying anything crazy. It was just just to give you an example. I said companies like Walmart, Target, they intentionally go after certain type of people to work for them. I said kind of like weak-minded people. In a sense, because they know I'm gonna put you here, and it's like they go after they ain't going after somebody that's like, okay, I'm trying to get in here and learn this game so I can take this on to the next level. They want people to stay. If I'm Starbucks, I want barristers who want to be happy making coffee for Starbucks, not learn everything.
And then buy Starbucks.
And learn how to be a barrister, learn how to make coffee, all these different types, and go across the street and come up with my own shop. So they intentionally going after certain type of people.
Starbucks says that they want a lot of students. I see. They seem to have a lot of students, like Enterprise. But I think that's the difference. When you self-publish, you have more control. And I would always say copyright everything as much as possible. It's $35 to copyright whatever it is, whether it's the name, whether it's and I think the name is a little bit more. But your book, you can do a lot of things. You just have to have the steps to do it. And literally, we are in a digital age. There's no need for brick and mortar at this point. You really do not need to be investing in a physical, distribution place. I mean, you can start off small, distribute, have all of your books in the basement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And literally, people need to just think about, start where you at. And I think that is the mindset of entrepreneurship. You know, you don't have to have all of this great capital. A lot of people have been using social media, Instagram, Facebook, and you know, Facebook has gotten really privy, and they have shut down a lot. Even as the algorithms that they have. Even with your friends list, like you do a regular page, you don't even, you see 20 people because they want you to create these fan pages so that you boost every post. So they're gonna get their advertising dollars. So even though you may have 2,000 people who like your page, in order for a post that you make to that 2,000 people to show up, you have to pay to make sure they push it.
And this is
them.
what I really think, if you have a business, definitely double down on Facebook and Instagram, because eventually the Budweisers, Frito-Lays, and L'Oreal's of the world, the big time companies, they're not going to be on CBS, Fox.
They're not.
They're going to start
now.
moving to social media.
Think about all of the advertisement that has been driven to us just on our phones or on our iPads. And I always say, like, you look at Instagram and you see people like that have weird pages. Like I always say, they have weird pages and they have like 1 million followers or 500,000 followers, and I'm looking at this page.
They got 3 comments.
They have 3 comments because somebody's blocking. They're blocking all of that so that they don't freely advertise. But another thing is they're not monetizing it in a way. They're not using it. It's just
influencer marketing too.
Yeah, they just doing stupid things, and it's like you have all of this reach, and you could really capitalize, and that's why a lot of people don't understand the resources and the ability to create the wealth is there, and it doesn't have to come from the traditional. But I always say, if you don't have the experience, get the education. And sometimes that is working a corporate job for like 2 or 3 years just to understand the lay of the land.
Imagine like if Iyanla Vanzant has your book on her Instagram page.
I know, you understand? I've been contacted by OWN Network because they saw something I did on Twitter and said, can you upload a video? They gave me the whole link to, like, people don't understand the power of social media. Like, if you literally just be yourself, I always say what is supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen will, if you are just being yourself. But if you are, morphing into somebody else, they can't see you. You're not what they're looking for. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I always tell people, do things in a way that gives you the exposure, but also understand, always have a plan, meaning just don't be all over the place. Right. Like you can't diversify right away because you don't have a brand. You know what I'm saying? So understand that you can't, today you're selling bundles, tomorrow you're selling, the flat tummy tea, the next day you sell. It's like, I'm like, okay, if the flat tummy tea worked, that person would be a billionaire.
Right. So what are you doing with your nonprofit organization? Like, what are your plans like?
So, ideally, moving forward in 2019, I'm going to start a portion where I'll start awarding scholarships from my nonprofit. My nonprofit is Acheive Against All Odds, and it's basically focused solely on mentorship and education. And I feel like mentorship is very critical because it's the whole adage that it takes a village to raise a person or raise a child. We need to still be in that village mindset as we progress through areas of our life, because we're not the same, right? And our needs change as life progresses. And so to me, the Acheive Against All Odds was basically like, there's a sect of people who believe that they can't move forward in their life because, like you said, they're stuck. They're stuck in all these things that happen to them.
Right.
And they don't understand that it's a plan. You gotta it's levels to this. Like, you can't, if you say I'm stuck, you will be stuck.
Right.
If you say, what, this happened, but this is the plan, I need to get out of this.
So how can we reach out? So let's say, like, if I have a niece who's 12 or 13 years, how would I get her to your? Okay,
you can have her reach out to me either on Facebook at Acheive Against All Odds, or email me at achieveagainstallodds@yahoo.com. So there's a way you can reach out to me. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm very visible on social media, so anybody can reach out to me through social media. But
is it just for girls, or is it for boys too?
For me, I'm girls. Even though I have 3 sons, for me, the mentoring program at this point is just for girls. And ideally, I would like to evolve into boys, but I would really like to have black men to serve as that arm, because that's who they need to see.
Exactly.
You know, and I do believe they also need to see strong black women, but I do believe that the narrative that has been spent so oversaturation in the media is, you know, the black men, you know, are not leaders. They need to see that, yes, they absolutely are.
Exactly.
You just gotta see them, you know.
Okay, so any other plugs you got?
I don't have any
Shannon,
plugs. Tell
everybody what your beef is with this
appreciative.
Saints stuff.
Yeah, right. Shannon's over this. Come on, what is
So
up
I got
with
my
Saints?
opinions.
Like, I love them. Like, I love everything about New
She's
Orleans.
like, I
That
love the
is-
Saints.
Like,
Okay.
the Lions have just done something. We just can't. We're in a bad relationship. But I don't feel, it's something about the Saints. Like, I have connected with New Orleans to the point that I was sick, like, physically. Like, when that game happened, I was just sitting, my friend was just like, you really hurt. Like, you are really shutting down. And, like, I felt like I was the player. Like, I felt like I was the owner or something. Like, every single play. I just
Well,
can't
you do
believe-
know the commissioner, he has the power to
Reverse it.
do, yeah.
Well, he should have.
Well, here's the thing.
Because I saw these memes, you know, they was like, when that play happened, the
Well,
guy.
would they? I don't think they would reverse it. Though.
The Saints, they did get hosed. They did kind of get played.
Mhm.
But, and there was all this uproar. But I'm glad it happened, and this is why. Because I feel like my brother Colin Kaepernick was hosed tremendously. He's been pretty much shut out of the league. Even they taking quarterbacks off the street, guys who ain't got an arm, can't even throw the football. But they just pretty much said, we're not going to put him in, just like they did Muhammad Ali. And there was where's the outrage for that? Where was the players coming to the commissioner to address that? So now when it affected them, when it affected those players, now they upset. Now they crying to the commissioner, but she wasn't doing it for Colin Kaepernick. So why, if I'm Roger Goodell, why should I respect anything the players have to say if they never speak up?
Right.
You can't just speak up. The lesson is, Shannon, you can't just speak up only when things happen to you personally. You got to speak up in general, because then when it just happens, you're not taking it seriously. Because Roger Goodell is basically like, I ain't gotta listen to you. I'm making $40 million. Oh well, you got screwed over. So what? We gonna have a Super Bowl anyway.
They said that's
But if they would have sat out and said, we ain't playing, we're not playing football until Colin Kaepernick gets a job. Now everything else after that, everything the player says is taken more seriously now.
They said that's Colin's bag and this is their bag. That's two different. They look like.
I understand
got
that.
bills.
But
I
when
got
you look in the macro, it's a difference. So now, you're a realtor for Keller Williams. You want to kind of like plug people to
Yes.
how you can be of service to them as an entrepreneur, because you're an investor as well, and also as a realtor.
Well, I'm an investor-friendly realtor because, like
Come
you
on.
said, I am an investor. So definitely, you know, looking to work with anybody and everybody. I think my niche is going to be people that don't think they qualify. You know, there's so many people out there that really don't need to do much to get qualified.
Right, because you're doing it, so basically.
But they just don't know that if you would just make this one step, you could be a homeowner.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
so how many people are renting, you know, and
How
they don't
did
have
you
to
get
be-
the investment property that you got now?
the Detroit Land Bank?
So you got it, you put a bid on it?
Yeah, and the other one, the tax auction.
Okay, so you put the bid
Really?
in the land bank. How much was that? I don't even put your business out there. Was it expensive to win the bid?
We will say that there's homes as low as $1,000.
So-
However, because Detroit is now a hotbed, and everybody and their daddy, including people in Malaysia who don't even know what Detroit is,
Fine.
are putting money here and investing. So the tables have turned. You know, it's like how they say about all good things kind of come to an end. Where
Right.
now, because the word is out and everybody knows, and they're telling everybody they know that, you know, have bigger bucks, The opportunity has changed. So this year we saw record numbers, for properties. It could be a property that was burned to a crisp and people were paying $18,000.
I was just at the auction Thursday. The inventory is going down. Prices are going up. I think the bids were starting at like $40,000 now.
Yes.
Remember back in the summer, even last year, some bids were starting at $500.
Yep.
Now they start at $20,000, $30,000.
Wow.
To start.
Yep. And then there's also tactics, and this actually happened to me with the second property I got, where people will win a property and default on purpose.
Really?
Yeah. Because basically they just want to get something, so they just secure the spot, and then basically the city came back to me days later and kind of was like, okay, well, they didn't pay, they defaulted. And I don't know if they just create more accounts or what they do. They don't even care that, because technically if you win a bid and you don't actually pay, you're supposed to be kicked out of the auction. You're not supposed to be able to. So they probably just make another profile or go get somebody else or use somebody else's name.
Wow.
So they're tying up homes and stuff that people could be getting, and they're not even really wanting it.
And I want my Detroit people to realize, if you want a house, you got about a good, I would say 12 to 18 months, and then you just won't be able to get them.
Yep.
Wow.
The ship is at the dock. They took the anchor out. Is people getting on with their board passes? The window is very small at this point.
Well, people were shocked that Hill Harper purchased in Detroit. I don't think a lot of people know that he purchased in the Boston Edison.
Yep.
He has a home in Detroit.
Great area. And so I'd like to just thank everybody for coming on. Thank you, Shannon, for being my co-host today. Definitely have you back on, team up with me. Mrs. Johnson, Paulina Johnson.
Welcome.
We'll have to have you back when when is your book coming out?
I'm not sure, but it's definitely targeted for the spring.
Okay, so definitely have to have you come back and get more into your new book.
Yes.
And other things that's going on. So appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And tune in next week. We have another guest on the Bag Talk podcast. And I just want everybody to share their information. Tell people about the show. We want your feedback. This is our first episode, so we're kind of still getting the kinks out, still getting everything buttoned down and tied down. But I think we'll get better moving on. So definitely want your feedback, and definitely want you to share what was discussed today. So appreciate everybody. Thank you.